Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Last time we explored how Copilot Studio is transforming healthcare with intelligent agents that improve care and reduce workload. No matter what your industry, healthcare, education, finance, or retail, governance is key to unlocking safe, scalable innovations with Copilots. In this session, Copilot Studio Agentic Governance, enabling innovation with confidence, we'll dive into the guardrails that help keep organizations innovation responsibly. My name is Steve Linker, and I'm an account manager at AQL Technologies. With us today, Rizwan Ansari. He's part of our strategic solutions team, working closely with institutions to identify pain points and build digital-first solutions. Hussein is a solutions architect with a deep expertise in Microsoft Power Platform, SharePoint, and Microsoft AI. Before we get started, a little bit about AQL Technologies. We're a Microsoft and a ServiceNow partner, and we bring over 15 years of expertise across federal, commercial, nonprofit, and government sectors. With more than 100 successful projects delivered to a diverse client base, our team of over 200 specialists excel in M365, Dynamics, Power Platform, RPA, and SharePoint. We've conducted over 500 training sessions and hold a GSA Schedule 70 and SB 8A certification. Our commitment is to deliver tailored solutions by working closely with clients to address their unique needs and challenges. AQL also offers Power Platform COE Starter Kit to enhance your Power Platform setup and RPA for invoice processing to automate your invoicing. Explore these solutions on the Microsoft App Source and see how they can improve your operations and drive efficiency. AQL offers a range of Power Apps available directly in the Microsoft App Source. These include AQL My Timesheet, archiving apps, supplier management, and release and change requests. Each app is designed to streamline and enhance various business processes, providing practical solutions for your organization's operational challenges. AQL offers SharePoint Internet Web Parts designed to transform and elevate your internet experience. They enhance productivity, boost employee engagement, and streamline communications within organizations. They offer functionalities that support better communication and seamless navigation, tailored to meet your specific organizational needs. AQL offers end-to-end Microsoft 365 services to drive digital transformation for organizations. From building low-code apps with Power Platform and automating workflows using Copilot Studio to enhancing collaboration through Teams and SharePoint, we cover it all. We also specialize in data solutions using Azure Data, Microsoft Fabric, and SQL Server, along with enterprise app development and .NET. With support for Office 365 and Dynamics, AQL empowers businesses to be more agile, connected, and intelligent. All right, before we jump in, a quick note about webinar rules. All attendees can ask their questions and raise concerns in the chat. If your question or concern isn't addressed by the end of the webinar, we'll follow up with an answer within 2 business days. There will be 3 sets of polls, each with 3 questions lasting 30 seconds apiece. Please take a moment and answer them to the best of your ability. A feedback email will be sent out after the webinar. Please respond so we can improve our content. Here's a quick look at what we'll cover today. Today's session is all about understanding governance in the context of innovation and scale. We'll begin by exploring governance, what governance really means, and why it's critical for organizations to have building solutions with Copilot Studio. Then we'll look at how to balance innovation with control, ensuring makers have the freedom to create while staying within secure boundaries. After that, we'll walk through a step-by-step governance framework built around people, process, and tools. Finally, we'll wrap up with a live demo and show how these concepts come to life in real-world scenarios.
Thank you, Steve, for the overview. Welcome everyone, and thanks for joining today's session. My name is Rizwan Ansari, and I am Microsoft 365 architect and project manager with AQL. So in our recent webinar, we explored Microsoft Agentic ecosystem, how different layers of Copilot fits together, and the types of agents, along with live demos. So we also discussed Copilot Studio licensing, and in our last couple of webinars, we walked through education and health sector scenarios where Copilot's agents can make life easier for students, faculty, staff, and parent, and on the healthcare side, healthcare workers and patients. So if you miss any of these sessions, the full recording are available on AQL's YouTube channel, and we'll also link these videos with this recording once we publish it. So today we'll focus on the critical topic, that's agentic governance, specifically how organization can safely build this scale and manage agents in Copilot Studio. So while keeping compliance, security, and trust at the center. So, so agentic governance is a strategic framework that helps organization safely manage AI agents built in Copilot Studio, while simultaneously ensuring the pace of innovation is not hindered. So think it of as like a traffic management in a city. So without traffic light and lanes, cars will still move, but there will be chaos, accidents, and gridlock. So with governance, just like traffic lights and signs, movement is smoother, safer, and predictable. So in Copilot Studio, governance ensures Copilot follows rules without blocking productivity. It's not about slowing people down, but about preventing accidents before they happen. So without governance, Copilot will end up accessing the wrong data, publishing incomplete features, or even exposing sensitive information. So it is needed to make sure innovation doesn't turn into risk. So here are the kind of questions governance in Copilot help us answer. So like who can build Copilots? So do we want anyone in the organization to create them, or should we have specific roles and permissions? So where do these Copilot live? So should they go straight into production, or should they first go into dev test environment for validation? How do we prevent misuse of data, right? So for example, if a Copilot tries to pull customer financial records, is there a policy that blocks it? Then who approves what goes live? Is there a central team, or is approval distributed across business units? So as Copilots become central to digital transformation, organization must ensure that their adoption is secure, compliant, and scalable. So Copilot Studio gives us powerful tools to build intelligent agents, but this rapid growth also brings new challenges. Let's look at what's driving the need for agentic governance. So rapid AI governance. So since the launch of ChatGPT and later Microsoft Copilot, organizations have rushed to adopt AI. Many are experimenting with AI agents to boost productivity. Then we have governance gap. So here's the reality is only about 30% of the organization have comprehensive AI governance strategy. That leaves a huge gap. And gaps in governance are not just inefficiencies, they, they are risk. Without structure, you can end up shadow IT, compliance failures, or agents that leak sensitive data. Then, so we need a balance. The goal of the resulting agentic governance strategy is to develop a comprehensive plan that achieves two simultaneous, often conflicting objectives. First is ensuring compliance and security. The strategy must guarantee the compliance and security of agents across the organizations. So this includes controlling who can build what, managing access to built assets, controlling access to data, and setting policies to ensure security and compliance. On the other side, we have to facilitate expansion and adoption. So strategy must ensure the organization is facilitating the expansion and adoption of the Copilot Studio. When we say governance, we don't just mean policies written in a document or a checklist that nobody reads. So in the context of Copilot, governance is what ensures that while makers and developers have the freedom to build powerful agents, they are still building with a trusted guardrail systems. It's important to remember that every organization has its own unique requirement and structure. Governance is not one size fits all model. So think of it as a baseline or a framework that you adapt to your organization's existing structure and operating model. For example, one enterprise might adopt a centralized governance structure. So, so this approach is great for consistency because it allows uniform control and decision making across the entire organization. However, the trade-off is that it can sometimes create bottleneck or slow down innovations. So then federated governance promotes autonomy across units while maintaining oversight to align with organization goals. Some enterprise adopts hybrid governance that combines centralized control and federated autonomy to balance flexibility and uniformity. To achieve the right balance between the security, governance, and innovation, we look at three primary governance pillars or lenses. So the first is people, processes, and tools. That's why it's crucial to assess your current model and tailor the governance pillar, uh, people, processes, and tools. So in a way that aligns with your organization needs. So you can see the governance pillars a little more in detail here. So governance always starts with people because at the end of the day, it's people who design, approve, monitor, and consume these Copilot agents. So in Copilot Studio, key roles includes admins. They set policies, configure environments, and ensure Copilot stay compliant. Then we have developers and makers who design Copilots from small departmental helpers to enterprise scale agents, right? And then security and compliance teams. So they review data flows, manage risk, and ensure Copilot meets regulation like GDPR, HIPAA, or internal company standards. You also have business unit owners. So they provide requirements, they validate outcomes, and often sponsor mission critical copilots. So good governance means making these rules explicit. Everyone should know who owns what, who approves what, who is accountable when things go wrong. So once you have people defined here, the next pillar is a process. So these are the workflow that guide co-pilots from idea to development to safe production use. Three key process stands out. First is intake, then approvals, and environment strategy. So with intake, you'll answer a question like, how do new co-pilot ideas get captured? Is there a simple intake form in SharePoint or Teams where business units can submit ideas? So intake prevents shadow IT by giving maker a clear path. Then you have approvals. So before Copilot touch sensitive data or serve at scale, who approves them? Lightweight Copilot may only need a peer check. Mission critical ones may go through security, compliance, and IT approval. So this ensures the right IC, the right Copilot at the right time. Then you have environmental strategy. So Copilot Studio allows you to separate environments. Makers can test safely in dev, quality checks and pilot programs happens in QA, and only approve Copilot graduate into production. So this is the same discipline you use in software development where because Copilots are essentially apps powered by AI. Without this process, you get chaos. With them you get the scalable innovation, right? Then the last thing is are the tools. So Microsoft provide a strong toolbox for Copilot Studio governance. Power Platform Admin Center. So this is your control tower where you manage your environment, set policies, and monitor usage. Then you have Microsoft 365 Admin Center. It helps align governance with broader M365 ecosystem, like users, groups, and compliance settings. Then you have Microsoft Purview. It provides compliance, audit trails, and data loss prevention. Every Copilot interaction can be tracked, ensuring transparency. Then you have Center of Excellence starter kit. So it's ready-made toolkit with dashboards, reporting, and templates for monitoring Copilot adoption and enforcing the best practices. So think of these tools as your Copilot governance cockpit, the dashboard, switches, and alerts that let you steer safely. So without them, you are flying blind. So the three governance pillar, people, processes, and tools, are what allow Copilot to scale safely across your organization. People give clarity in roles and responsibility, processes provide structure and flow, and tools give visibility and enforcement. So when these three align, governance isn't a blocker, it's an enabler. It ensures Copilot don't just get built, but they thrive in a way that is safe, compliant, and trusted. And remember, every company's governance journey look different. So the key is tailoring these pillars to your culture and compliance needs. So far, we have discussed why governance matters and the foundational pillars that support it. But how do you actually put governance into practice? Using the same lens of people, process, and tools, we'll explore what actions you should consider from day one, especially if you are stepping into governance role. This doesn't mean to be an exhaustive checklist, but rather a reference framework to help guide your thinking. So remember, governance isn't one size fits all. You can take this as a framework, overlay it with your organization's unique requirement, and tailor it to fit your operating model. Now let's walk through a step-by-step governance framework. Think of it as a playbook you can take back and adapt with your organization. So there are three big steps. First is establishing a baseline, then designing your governance framework, and third, monitor and improve continuity. So let's look at step one. So first step in governance is all about understanding where your organization currently stands. Before you can scale or enforce governance, you need to establish a clear baseline. So start by assessing the current environment, identifying what AI agents exist, how they are being used, and where risk might lie. This includes three key activities: conducting a current state inventory of existing agents and automations, then performing risk and compliance mapping to see how each aligns with organization and regulatory standards. Then you have ensuring stakeholder alignment. So business, IT, and compliance teams share the same vision. The next, define roles and responsibilities. Who owns what? The AC matrix in the governance charter clarifies who's responsible, accountable, and consulted and informed across our governance structure. Under the process section, you identify which regulation apply, like GDPR, HIPAA, or PCI, depending on your industry. So, and we define the organization's risk appetite. So you know how much flexibility or control you can afford while scaling agents. In the tool section, so we use them to manage and monitor this baseline effectively. So the Power Platform Admin Center for environment and agent management. Then you have Microsoft 365 Admin Center for integrated app and agent control. Then you have Center of Excellence Starter Kit to gather analytics and set policies and enforce standards. In short, step one is about setting the foundation, understanding what you have, defining responsibilities, aligning your stakeholders, and preparing the tools that will support secure, compliant agent expansion. Step two is designing the governance framework. So once your step one, that's baseline, is established, the next step is to design your framework. This is where we turn our understanding into structure and control. So the goal here is to build a secure, by default foundation for Copilot and AI agents development. So we want to empower makers with guardrail, not roadblocks. So ensuring innovation can continue safely. At the same time, the framework must adhere to all regulatory and compliance requirements while being scalable and cost effective in operations. So under people, identify executive sponsors who align AI outcomes with key business objectives. A Copilot Center of Excellence or a security compliance team should be established to oversee governance and standard. Train product owners and makers, ensuring everyone understands their role and responsibilities. Clear R&R definition across department helps maintain accountability and consistency in every phase of agent creation and deployment. In the process section, we are starting with an environment strategy that separates development, testing, and production areas. So we also need well-defined operational process, starting with an environment strategy that separates development, testing, and production areas. Alongside that, establish an application lifecycle management process to manage agent versioning, approvals, and control deployments. On the tool, so we rely on Microsoft governance tools, like for managing Power Platform Admin Center for managing policies and environment, manage environments and environment groups to enforce consistency, data loss prevention policies to control data access, Microsoft Purview for compliance and data classification. And the COE starter kit to monitor adoption, track analytics, and maintain standards. In short, step two is where we put structure around innovation, defining how people, process, and technology come together to ensure that Copilot and AI agents development remains secure and compliant and scalable. Next, once your governance framework is in place, the next phase is all about keeping it healthy, secure, and continuously improving on that. So this step ensures your Copilot AI agent ecosystem doesn't just run, it evolves intelligently. The key focus here is on reducing manual efforts through automation while maintaining visibility and control. We aim to measure business impact, detect risk early, ensure that usage, cost, and policy guardrails are always in place. Ultimately, this step builds a continuous improvement loop where monitoring insight directly drive better performance and compliance. Governance remains a shared responsibility. So teams regularly review defined KPIs like agent resolution rate or customer satisfaction. Then they also analyze telemetry and analytics to identify where improvements can be made and investigation of anomalies can be done that may signal risk or misuse. This proactive culture helps maintain accountability and keep both business and technical team aligned. So operationally, the process introduces automation to improve governance efficiency. So capacity and cost alerting ensures no environment is overused or overspent. An automated ALM pipeline keeps deployment consistent and error-free. And anomaly detection and response workflow allow a team to react quickly to security and compliance issues before they escalate. So to power all this, we use combination of Microsoft tools and analytics like Power Platform Admin Center for visibility and alerts, Microsoft Sentinel for advanced analytics and threat detection, DLP policies, and Microsoft Purview for ongoing compliance checks, COE Starter Kit to track usage patterns and adoption metrics, and Azure Monitor with application insights to collect detailed telemetry from your agents. Step 3 transforms governance from a static checklist into a living system, a one that monitors, learns, and continuously optimize your AI ecosystem for performance, compliance, and business value. So in summary, the governance framework for Copilot Studio is not complicated. It's structured step by step. Establish your baseline, know what you have, then design your framework, define roles, environment, and policies. Third, monitor and improve. Keep refining as you go. So if you follow this playbook, you'll create a governance model that doesn't block innovation, but enables it safely, responsibly, and at scale. So in Copilot Studio, part of Microsoft Power Platform and environment is essentially a logical and security boundary. Let's move on to the next section. So understanding environments and governance. So in Copilot Studio, part of the Microsoft Power Platform and environment is essentially a logical and security boundary. Within an environment, you can manage apps, automate workflows, data, users, and more. So you can provision multiple environments within your tenant and organize them into environmental groups. So these groups allow you to apply governance policies consistently across all included environment. For example, instead of configuring each environment individually, you can define a policy once and apply it to the entire group, making it easier to scale and manage your settings across the organization. Then you have connectors that enable apps, flows, and agents built in Copilot Studio to connect with external systems. So this is crucial for building integrated solutions. With advanced connector policy, you can control which connector can be used in specific environment. For instance, you might restrict access to social media connectors like Facebook while allowing connection to trusted services like SharePoint. So these rules helps maintain security and compliance. Similarly, data policies, also called DLP policies, play a vital role in Copilot Studio. While advanced connector policies are newer or the newer iteration, so many critical things settings for Copilot Studio still resides within data policies. So these policies help ensure that data is handled securely and appropriately across environments. Lastly, we have Power Platform pipelines. So this has built-in ALM or can also say application lifecycle management and CI/CD capability within the platform. It allows makers to move solutions seamlessly from development to testing and production environment. The beauty of this feature is that it doesn't require developers to learn external tools or scripting languages. Everything is managed within the product itself. Then moving to the next section, there's a governance scenario that will walk you through, and then eventually we'll show you a demo for this. So imagine you have appointed a Copilot officer in your organization. So his job is to enable adoption of Copilot Studio and enable agents creation. So while also making sure everything stays secure, compliance, and scalable. So he has been assigned the task to allow a pilot group of users to build agent quickly, then secure data, then streamline and get a deployment to the production. So this is the objective. So here's the tricky part. So he has to deal with, he can't just shut down everything in the name of safety. So that kills innovation. So, but he also can't let every single person build and publish agents unchecked. That create chaos. So his job is to find a balance between innovation and control. And that's where governance becomes your playbook. So your organization wants to foster innovation by allowing users to create agents in secure environment without unnecessary restriction. As a governance officer, you are responsible for identifying organization barrier to innovation. So such as limitation in accessing specific environment or resources and addressing them accordingly. So the goal is to enable quick onboarding so users can access the necessary resources and begin building solution efficiently. However, the organization also wants to ensure that when developers start creating solutions, they do not simply share them broadly across the organization without proper oversight. This is a scenario that requires active monitoring. Another important consideration is ensuring that valuable solutions developed through this innovation process can easily move between environments, supporting scalability and long-term sustainability. So 3 roles or personas will be involved here to complete the process of the scenario discussed. So Power Platform administrator, then Power Platform maker. So he's a developer who wants to build a solution. Then enterprise architect. So he's the one who reviews your code and approve it so that you can take the solutions to production. And here are these different roles. They will be assigned in each environment in dev, Q, and prod. Then now look at the process as a Copilot officer where you want to grant the quick access to the developers. So the developers start building and don't have to wait for provisioning to get started. So the process works like this. A developer requests access to Copilot Studio. Through security group membership, the platform automatically provisions an environment in the correct environment group with the right policies as soon as the developer logs in. This happens only after an approval is given by the COE team who is responsible for approving it. So this ensures that developer gets a secure dev sandbox environment by applying policies on environment groups. It prevents data exfiltration and enforce sharing controls. Right? This way, any assets developed by the developer remains properly secure. So once the developer starts building, their natural instinct is to share it with others to gather feedback. While collaboration is important, we want to manage this carefully. Otherwise, it could lead to shadow IT or uncontrolled sharing. So governance ensure that sharing happens within the safe boundaries. The next step is to build a gated pipeline for developers. So this allows solutions to be reviewed before being promoted from one stage to another. With this approach, we establish a gated approval process for deployments. So this makes the system secure and compliant because reviewers can validate all solutions before they reach the production environment. So, so these are two key processes that an administrator is supposed to set up. By doing so, we ensure every solution is properly reviewed and compliant before going live. So at the tenant level, we have so many settings there. There are few important settings I will walk you through. As administrator, the first thing we do is create environment groups. Now, inside each group, you can have multiple environments. So once the rules and policies are set up, developers don't have to think about where their environment should go. The moment they log in to Copilot Studio, the system automatically provisions their environment into the right group based on their security group membership. In other words, governance happens in the background and developers just get a smooth, secure experience. Once developers start building, the administrator will create a QA environment, each with its own set of rules and policies. So this QA environment will be shared where you can host multiple simple agents or dedicated environment that focus on a larger enterprise use case like customer service or hosting agents like maybe Ask HR or any other agent that's broadly rolled out. Again, QA has its own rules and policies. You don't need production level tools in QA. Instead, it's a bit more restricted, so you can safely test and validate your solution. Finally, in the production environment, it's a similar story. You still have environments with right policies in place to make sure solutions move smoothly from development to production. The administrator can configure pipelines. With this setup, they can accomplish the governance goal that weren't in place before. And this essentially gives teams a structured, creative space to build dedicated agents with confidence. So let's move on to the next section where I will request Husnain to demonstrate the governance in action.
Yeah, thank you, Rizwan. My name is Husnain Sheikh, and I am working as a solution architect with AQL. Let me quickly walk you through what we are going to see in the demo. I will demonstrate to you how provisioning of access to developers will be done. Next, we will look into the data protection aspect and then the gated deployment with CI/CD pipelines. So let's get started. So I'm in the Power Platform Admin Center. Now within the Admin Center, we have a lot of setting at the tenant level, what we can apply. Some of the settings are really helpful for governing Copilot Studio in your organization. For example, Copilot Studio author. Let me open it. So here we have. So you can restrict who is allowed to build agents by applying a security rules. You can assign a security role here. This can also be enforced by assigning a licenses like a $0 SKU to specific users or by using security groups to control access. Another thing you can do here is review additional settings like uh, if you see we have a lot of settings over here. Another thing you can do here is review additional settings like whether user can send feedback to Microsoft or whether Copilot should be enabled inside Power Apps. But the key settings, especially when you are enabling your organization for Copilot Studio, is to make sure you turn on the ability to publish Copilot with AI features. So we have this setting here. You can turn on this feature so that your Copilots are published with AI features. So the next important settings which we have in tenant, that is multi-rule environment routing. So if you see here, the feature allow you to define a set of rules for how developer environments are placed into specific environment group. As you can see on the screen, you create a multiple rules. Each rule is tied to both a security group and an environment group. If a user is a member of a particular security group, their environment will be automatically be created in the corresponding environment group. You can also set prioritization for these rules. For example, a Max, who is a part of IT team, would have his environment created inside the AQL dev environment. Meanwhile, John from the finance department would be routed to the finance environment group. You will think, what if someone belongs to more than one security group? Now, if someone belongs to more than one security group, environment will be created based on the priority. So the first group where it matches the rule, his environment will be created under that particular group. So with this setup, you essentially build a well-defined routing mechanism that ensures different developer in your organization are placed into the right environment group. So now we have the tenant level settings done. Let's take a look at the group. So we have different environment groups over here. We have multiple. I will just, for example, I will consider the AQL dev, AQL QA, and AQL production. So I will first, we have, I will go to the AQL dev. If you look into the AQL dev, we have a lot of, I will just sort it out based on the published. So if you look inside the AQL dev environment group, I will show you a bunch of settings which I have already published. The first one is advanced connector policy preview. So under this group, you can create a multiple rules. It's taking some time to load. So you can allow the connectors here and block the connectors which you don't require. So everything you can define here. And as you see here, I have, as per my requirement, we have added these connectors here. And you see here, there are 1196 blocked one and only 24 are allowed. So this is about advanced connector policy under AQL dev. Another one is default deployment pipeline. So this is a very interesting setting. Once you have a pipeline host set up, so once you have a pipeline host set up, you can define the host, or you can select the host, default your host environment, and also select the pipeline. So for this particular group, this settings can be done here, and automatically the pipeline will be assigned to those environment. And there are some other settings which I would like to show you. Sharing controls. Let's look at the sharing control for Canvas app. So the idea here is to limit sharing in your development environment to maybe one or two people. You don't want developers widely sharing their application directly from development environment. The same applies not only for apps, but also for Power Automate flows and even Copilot Studio. So if you see, we have for Power Automate Cloud Flows, we have a setting here, and for Copilot Studio also. So the another one is another important settings are editor permission. Let You can block editor permissions on Copilot Studio by configuring the sharing agents with editor permission settings, and you can also restrict viewer permissions. What this does is prevent anyone from sharing the agents they have built in dev. Once the setting is applied, developers can still build agent, but they cannot share them with other directly from the development environment. And finally, don't forget to enable your general AI settings. So in short, these are the key governance and security settings that you should pay attention to when working with environment groups. So in the same way, we have three of these groups. Let's take a quick look at QA also. You might have multiple testers here, so you can relax your sharing permission a bit. But what's important is that you don't let developers into this environment. Instead, you make sure that admins are the ones responsible for sharing agents with the tester who need to validate the application. So one important setting I want to show here in regards to tester environments, for example, unmanaged customization. So what this feature allows you to do is to block all unmanaged changes in a specific environment. What that means is the only way changes can be introduced into this environment is through importing a managed solution. This ensures that when your testers are testing and what your end users are using is a specific controlled version that has not been tampered with even by an administrator. So this is another important setting would recommend you pay attention to so that nobody can make changes into the applications which are testing. Okay, only a managed solution will be tested by the QA team. Okay, let's test the settings. Now we have covered the settings. Let's quickly uh, look at what this means in action for a developer. Starting now. Now that we have covered the settings, let's quickly look at what this means in action for a developer. I have a Elijah account been created here, and I am going to log in with Elijah's detail as a first time login. When I open this up, and I hope it doesn't take too long to log in here. So I'm just using this credential to log in. So you'll see that Eliza has already been added and pre-approved into a specific security group. The system detects that and confirms, okay, we are going to connect you to the developer environment. What's happening now is that a new development environment is being provisioned within that security group, which is aligned with John's security profile. I mean to say, what's happening now is that a new developer environment is being provisioned within a environment group, which is aligned with the John's security profile. So if you see here, yeah, some of the as Eliza is has logged in for the first time, so you can see some of the informations are mentioned here. And if you see the developer account, default developer account has been created for Eliza, which is aligned with Eliza's security profile. So as you must have seen, as soon as she was able to log in, welcome content was available. And if I switch back to administrator account, you will see that in the AQL dev group, Eliza's environment will be must have been created. So if you see here, automatically Eliza's account has been created under this particular environment group. This means all the policies I have applied here are automatically applied to Elijah's environment as well. As a maker, I want to share before let me go back to Elijah's environment. As a maker, I want to share this with all my teammates. So like I said, Eliza is inside her dev environment. So she has access to only her developer environment as well as the default environment. So now once you have seen that I've covered the settings, let's quickly look at what all of this means in action for a developer. So when the new developer logs in, a new environment will be provisioned for him automatically within an environment group that is configured for developer, which is aligned with developer security group, which means all the policies that are applied to the environment group will be automatically be applied to developers environment as well. So let me create an agent. I'll go to the Copilot Studio. I will create agent here. For that, I'll provide the instruction to the agent. So I have provided an instruction. Okay, now if you see, I'll configure it. I'll add some knowledge here. I'm going to create it. So our agent is ready. Okay, now if she goes to try and share this agent, let's share and see. We can see that a restriction kicks in and does not allow for to share. So there is no way that she can share this today without reviewer's approval and admins knowing about it. The next thing that I want to bring up here is the pipelines. So if you look at the pipelines that is configured, so I have already configured a pipeline for the AQL team. You don't have to do a single thing manually as long as you have configured those settings in the Power Platform Admin Center, which I showed you earlier. Everything will happen automatically. Now, if a maker logs in and makes a update and want to deploy solution, the pipeline will already be available for them to use. So by pre-configuring all of this, what we have done as an administrator is to create a process that allows a developer to start building and deploying very quickly. So as a maker, I have basically built an agent called the SharePoint Web Part Assistant. Very simple instructions. And the agent is helping here is to answer queries about the SharePoint Web Part. A maker is not allowed to push changes directly into another environment and make them available without following the due process. So how does that actually work? So let's switch over to our solution. So for those who are new, a solution is essentially a package that contains all your Copilot Studio artifacts. It's the way you move work from your development environment into QA and eventually into production. Inside Copilot Studio, if you see here, this is a pipeline. When you click on it, the default pipeline that was created for the process becomes available. Here, the makers can request approval to deploy. So, for example, let me make some changes here. So it's taking some time. Okay, now I have made some changes, and what I will do here is I will make a request to deploy. Uh, I will make it on now. What's really happening here is that the deployment runs on behalf of the pipeline owner. In this case, we have configured the pipeline to include custom approval process flow. So if you see here, your request to deploy here is pending. So a notification will be sent to the reviewer in the Teams as well as in the email. So currently, Rizwan is a reviewer here, so he must have received an email where to approve the this request. So Rizwan, can you please share your screen and show that email?
Yeah, give me a moment. It's still on the way, it seems to be.
Okay.
Yeah, I just got an email. Give me a second, opening that here. So I've shared my screen and here's the email that I've received. So I'm just going to approve this. Okay. Okay, I'll give a comment and give an approval. Submit. All right, done. Approval done. You can take back your screen.
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
So once the approver clicks approve, the request then moves on to the security review owner. After that, the architect reviews the deployment, looking over all the associated documentation and then gives the approval as well. Only after both approvals are in place does the deployment actually begin. So you can see here. So as an architect, Rizwan has already approved it and currently it's exporting the artifacts. So I have, so it's taking some time to deploy. This creates a full end-to-end gated process. A developer can request deployments, but nothing moves into QA or production until it's been carefully reviewed. If this is the run history, if you see here, you can see all the deployment history. Finally, every deployment is automatically logged as a history within your pipelines. You can see a complete list of deployments, whether they succeed, failed, or were cancelled. Each record includes details like who requested it, deployment notes, associated solutions, and even downloadable artifacts. So what you get is a robust CI/CD process that not only streamlines development but also ensures everything is done in a safe and secure way. So if you see here, all the environments are available here, and this is our default pipeline. Under this, we have two stages. One is to push code from development environment to QA. So as you see, we have a pre-export step as well as pre-deployment step configured. That is to uh, for reviewers approval, and then again we have another step for pushing the solution to the production environment. So with this, that concludes the demo. To summarize, we have seen how developer access can be streamlined through automated environment provisioning, how data protection is enforced using robust policies, and how gated deployment via CI/CD pipelines ensures secure and compliant solution delivery. This governance practice is not only safeguard your organization, but also empower makers to innovate confidently within trusted boundaries. Thank you all for joining today's webinar.
Thank you, Hussein. So we hope this session has provided valuable insight into building a secure, scalable, and well-governed Copilot Studio ecosystem. So if you have any questions or would like to explore this further with our experts, feel free to reach out. Thanks, everyone, and have a great day ahead. Thank you.
I want to thank everybody for joining today's webinar. I hope you got a lot of great information. If you have any questions, need help with anything, please reach out to me. You can reach me at stevell@aql.com or give me a call at 773-793-1619. Again, I want to thank everybody for joining. Feel free to reach out anytime. See you in the next webinar. Have a great rest of your day.